Hey there, just before you jump onto this webinar, make sure you click the subscribe button and also click the bell icon so that you're notified of all future trainings. Now let's get into this one.
Good afternoon, everyone, and for our friends in WA, good morning. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Both Kheang and I have been looking forward to sharing what we've been building over the last quarter with you. If you haven't already, I guess, seen some of the messages that we put out about new features and things like that. Now, we also do have something quite exciting to show you based on some of the feedback that we've received over the course of the last 6 months. So a whole lot to show you over the course of the next hour. But I might just just to quickly recap on a couple of things regarding the end of financial year, end of financial year and end of CCS year. So that's the first thing. Oh, sorry, guys, just in terms of housekeeping, if you guys can just pop yourselves on mute for us, if that's okay. Feel free to pop in questions into the chat. I'll do my best to handle that as they come through as well. But just a couple of things for everyone with regard to CCS. So family account balancing, meaning that parents having to declare their income for the last 2 financial years. There was a deadline in for today. So if you haven't already, if you haven't already reminded parents should have declared their income via submitting a tax return this year, or advising Centrelink that they don't need to lodge a tax return. So there's a couple of things that parents will need to do is to confirm their income with Centrelink. Obviously, Centrelink uses that information to assess what kind of entitlements the family is entitled to by way of subsidy. So there was a deadline in for that, particularly for the 2019-2020 year. So the implication of that, guys, is that if they don't declare their income, then it's likely that they may lose their entitlements, okay? So that's number one. Number two, submitting sessions for this CCS financial year. Now, this current CCS financial year closes on the 10th of July, okay? So we're still about just over a week away from that. The important thing for you guys to do is to review your sessions for the last, if you can, 52 weeks and make sure that you've submitted all your sessions now, or adjusted your sessions if you needed to. Now, if we go into the new CCS financial year, which kicks off on the 11th of July, you can go back to adjust CCS for this current financial year. However, that does need to go directly via a paper form or a form that needs to be sent back to the CCS help desk. So my suggestion or my advice to you over the course of the next week is, if you've got an opportunity, please review your sessions and then resubmit or change sessions or submit any outstanding sessions to CCS so that they can be processed this CCS financial year. So just to recap, you've got until the 10th of July to do those adjustments. New CCS measures coming in place from the 11th of July. So the absences again have been now formalised and made 52 for the next CCS financial year. Now, in this current CCS financial year, that went from 42 plus an additional 10. So rather than having the additional 10, they've just made it 52 for the next CCS financial year. COVID measures were also extended, so you can continue to waive the gap at least for the next CCS financial year. And the 7-day rule before and after a child either starts or leaves your service. Again, if it's COVID related, you can claim the subsidy for that as well. The hourly cap, that was announced yesterday. So the current hourly cap for this current CCS financial year for long daycare services was $12.31. Now that's being adjusted to $12.74. And for school-aged children, that went from $10.77 to $11.15. Now it's about a 3.5% increase on where you are in terms of the hourly cap. So now that may benefit, obviously, additional subsidy being paid, but if you're obviously looking to increase your fees, then make sure that your new fee is, if you wanted to claim obviously the maximum amount of CCS, then it's within the hourly cap. That's probably the main major announcements. The only other one that I could remind you of, guys, is there is the new 26-week rule kicking off from the 11th of July as well, whereby if a family has registered for CCS for their children and they haven't enrolled their children in any service, the entitlement for that child or the intended entitlement for that child will be removed, and it's likely that the parents will need to reapply for CCS for that child if they haven't been enrolled or attended a service within 26 weeks. Now, that, just to be very clear, that's very different to a child that has been enrolled and hasn't attended for 14 weeks. Okay, so that 14-week rule still also applies. So quick recap. Families to declare their income before the end of the financial year. Submit your sessions before the 10th of July for this current CCS financial year. In the new CCS financial year, which kicks off on the 11th, hourly caps have increased. A new 26-week rule is in place for children that haven't been enrolled for CCS, enrolled in care for CCS purposes. COVID measures were extended by way of gap waiving and the 7-day rule of before and after they start care. And absences have been increased to 52 formally. Now, again, just feel free to pop in any questions into the chat as we go through. I'm about to pass over to Kheang. And look, guys, again, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for this year. It's obviously been a very hard 2 years with regard to COVID, and thank you for your support. Without further ado, I might hand over to Kheang. Again, feel free to pop your questions into the chat, and I'll do my best to answer those.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's new features webinar. We've built a lot over the last 3 odd months or so since our last new features webinar. I'll try to cover as much as I can today. There is a lot little minor things that I won't go through, but I'll touch on the major things, and towards the end I'll introduce 2 new things that we're about to roll out very soon. Okay, so let's kick it off. I'm going to share my screen, so just give me a second. All right. Okay. Just double checking, you guys can see my screen. It should be the Sunnyside dashboard. Okay, yes, excellent. All right. So the first major change that we've done on the platform is we kind of rejigged the dashboard, and we've got a lot more coming very soon as well. Okay, so firstly, the dashboard used to show everything as soon as you logged in, obviously as an administrator, but we've broken it up into 4 main tabs at the moment. So the first tab is your today's snapshot, which is pretty much your room ratio, how many children you have in each room, which staff members are in what particular room and so forth. But we've also introduced a new feature down the bottom here, where staff not checked in today. So as long as you're using our rostering platform, we can list out which staff members haven't checked in for the day. You have that data inside the timesheet already, but to bring it onto the dashboard meant you didn't have to obviously log into the time or redirect to the timesheet page to have a look. So at a glance, you can see straight away, I've got 3 educators in the center at the moment, and these educators down the bottom here haven't logged in or haven't checked in just yet. We also have another extra feature coming up probably in the next week or so, whereby it will list out the number of children who are about to, the children who are about to be signed in, or also signed out towards the end of the day as well. Okay, so again, based on estimate, based on historical data in terms of when they've signed in, signed out, that will be available on this particular screen as well. So after the snapshot, you've got your weekly summary, which is obviously your staff diary, your room breakdown, obviously any non-attendance as well. The curriculum side of things, you have your draft posts, which you've seen already, but we've also put in an approval needed as well. So if your service is one of those services that has a ed leader that needs to approve a particular post, that will show up here as well. And lastly, your stats for today. Okay. The fourth column or the fourth tab that we've introduced is the financials side of things. Again, I've got dummy data here. But essentially what we're doing here is we're listing out your revenue for last month in terms of your attendances. Obviously, it doesn't include any other revenue that you might bring into the service, but in terms of attendances, we list out your revenue last month, this current month, as well as next month as well. With next month, you might have data that might be a bit skewed or might not look correct. Just run the weekly attendance report over the course of the following month to have that data updated there. Okay, but essentially, this will give you a bird's eye view in terms of how you're traveling in terms of revenue wise, previously, this month, as well as next month as well. What we're going to do going forward with the dashboard is we're going to build widgets that you can drag and drop and build out your own dashboard. Right? So obviously at the moment, everyone inherits this particular setup here with the 4 tabs and all these particular information on the screen. Again, the dashboard might not suit different services. Different services might operate differently. Going forward, we're going to have a drag and drop feature there, so you can build out your own widgets. Different admins can build out their own different widgets, so you're not going to have to share it amongst other administrators in your service. You'll be able to have your own dedicated dashboard suited to your particular needs. Okay, so that's an upcoming feature that we're looking at. Hopefully that explains the dashboard quickly. One thing I want to mention was the medication today. I've seen some centers with a big list of children that require medication, but they don't require medication today. It's just the fact that someone hasn't gone in to complete that medication record. Right? So even after you administered a medication, make sure as an administrator or a director, head over into medication reports here and make sure you mark them as completed. Okay, so it's a 2-step process. Educators will fill it in to let parents know they've given that child the medication, but the director or someone who has admin rights should log in here as well, check it and mark them as completed. All right, and they'll tick the children off the medication for today. All right. So that's the dashboard side of things. The next feature that I want to quickly show you was the new menu when the plus is tapped on the timeline. So what I'm saying, and this is for both educators and staff as well. So just to quickly let you know, it's a left-hand side iPad as a staff from the staff's point of view, and right-hand side an iPhone or a simulator here from a parent point of view. With the plus, what was happening was obviously we're introducing more features, and over time that list kind of got skewed depending on the size of your phone. So we've removed that. We've pretty much had have a overlay over the top of it now, and this is going to allow us to add more items on this particular shortcut for parents. So all the standard features are there, like create posts, casual bookings, and so forth. I'll come back to children's attendances in a second. But this list here, a bit more easier to read, doesn't go off the screen. It's going to make parents' lives a lot easier. Same with staff as well. Staff have the same screen, but obviously staff don't have as much features here as parents do on the quick plus symbol. But over time that might change, and we might add more features in that plus shortcut on the timeline itself. All right. So that's the new menu screen. The other thing we've been working on is casual bookings. So we get a lot of requests for casual bookings and ways to improve it and so forth. So I'll touch on some of the stuff that can be improved right now. So casual bookings, the first thing is on the casual booking side of things as a center. Previously, you had to add casual bookings per day. Right? So I'm not talking about automated where the system opens it up, but if you were to manually add a casual booking for say next week, or you wanted to add days for next week because next week is vacation care, for example, you will need to go into here, go to the 4th, pick the actual room, number of slots, and add vacancy. We've added the option here of a to date now, so a from date. So I might say from the 4th. To argument's sake, let's just say the 17th here, and let's just say it's the preschool room. I can allocate a number of slots per day, and you've seen this already. Session of care, the fee, add vacancy. It's going to add 12 vacancies in the preschool between the 4th of July to the 17th of July for me. Right? So in your case, you might not want to do that. You might want to say 4th to the 8th, and then again from the 11th to the 15th. So you're not including Saturdays and Sundays. So that's the first thing there. What we've also introduced from a parent point of view was previously, if I went to casual bookings as a parent and I selected my child, so I'll go OWNA, and in here, I went to preschool. Previously, you would have just available and you would have no spots in terms of how many spots, you had no idea, right? So with parents with multiple children, it made it hard because it could have been one spot, but they wanted to book in 2 spots. So they booked in 1, but all of a sudden it became unavailable because that was the limit. For those parents, they can see straight away, there's 10 spots, I've got, you know, X amount of children, I can book that day in and I'll have all those I can book in my next child and still be availability. So I know straight away before I actually book it, I then have to cancel because I've realized there's no more spots available. Right? So that's the other thing we've improved on from the casual booking side of things. The other thing we've done is the auto post of casual bookings. So what that means is as a center, I can go into here, app extras, app configuration, and under the post section, there's another option here called publish casual bookings vacancy on the timeline. And what that does is at 6 o'clock every night, it will publish out the availabilities in terms of any casual bookings that are available for the following day on the timeline. So that's automated as long as you tick that option on the app configuration. From a parent point of view, I can see that on the timeline. I think I've got one here. So this came out from last night. So last night at 6 o'clock, this was posted on the actual timeline. Below are the casual booking spots available for tomorrow, 10 in the preschool room. So if I'm looking for a spot, I can see straight away. I can see if 10 available. I jump into the app, book that casual day, and away I go. Keep in mind, if I'm on the wait list and so forth, I'll get alerted if a spot opens up, but there'll be occasions whereby I might forget and so forth. At least this gives me an extra reminder the day before that if there's a spot available, okay? So that's the casual booking side of things covered in terms of what we're doing there. We've got a lot more, again, like anything, anything we build, we've got a lot more improvements coming. We've got new features and extra bolt-on features as well to the casual booking side of things, but they're the main things that we've built over the last quarter based on feedback from you guys on the webinar today. The next okay, all right, sorry. So there's a question here. Can we show how parents book the casual day again, please? Sure. So on the app itself, all I do is tap the little plus button here, and there's the option for me to select casual bookings. When I click on casual bookings, again, I would have to pick it per child. So I'll say OWNA here, and by default, OWNA is tagged with these 2 particular rooms. So I'll click on say preschool, and in there, I can see straight away what's available. So I can see Saturday's available, 2 days. If you have a feed, the feed will show as well. So 2 spots available, $115.99. And if I want to book that now, all I do is tap that button there, it books it. That 2 changes to 1 because that spot's now taken, and I can see there's 1 spot available. If I wanted my second child to take that spot, assuming he's in the preschool, oh, he is, okay, cool. In here, click on that. Now there should be no spots available. Okay, so Luke Anthony, Omar Lopez have taken up that casual booking on a Saturday. All right, let's jump over to the next feature here. So on the actual menu, we introduced another function here, or another feature called children's attendances. All right, so again, this feature is already available. Excuse me. It's more so just to make it quicker for parents to access that particular screen. So I go children attendances, and in here, this is where I can flick between my children to see their attendances, whether it's upcoming absences and whatnot. Previously, I would need to go into here, click on say OWNA, and again, this could be a 3-4-step process. Click on attendance history, and from there on, flick between the different filters here. And if I wanted to see Luke, I would have to back out of here, click on say Luke, and click on the little 3-dot icon there, click on attendance history, and away I go in terms of looking at Luke's attendances. Now on the parent little plus icon here, click on children's attendances, and I'll have my children's attendances here. I can easily flick between my 3 different children. I can flick between the different filters here as well. I can see straight away that my particular child, all his attendances, and I can flick between my other children very easily as well. Okay. So that's the managing attendances for parents. The other, I'm reading off a list here of features that I wanted to go through. The next thing that I want to touch on was the CWA sign showing the child's profile. So this is a relatively simple feature here, but just to quickly show you, with our CWA, parents will sign the CWA on the app itself. So just to quickly recap, so in here, I go say OWNA, and I'll click on say sign CWA. I would, when that loads, I would sign my CWA, sign that, submit that, and that will come through. That will come through as a for the service. Will come through under CCS, under CWA, and here and the CWA appears here. We also list out the children who haven't signed a CWA, or parents of children who haven't signed a CWA. We list them out there, but we don't easily show that on the child's profile. So what we've done is on the children's side of things here, if I go to view children and I select the child, let's say Luke, for example, click on Luke, there's now a CWA sign, and the last one signed was October the 8th, 2021. So if I'm looking at a child's profile, I know straight away whether they've signed a CWA or not, rather than having to go to that list of CWA sign and trying to find out if they've signed it or not. So again, a simple feature, but obviously makes your lives a lot easier as well. All right. And the next feature or improvements that were done was the age debtors. Excuse me. With the age debtors, previously you could only run the age debtors for the to get an accurate result from a particular date. All right. So if you're looking for end of financial year stuff like right now, June 30, you need to run it today to see what your age debtors are. You couldn't run it, say, next Monday for June 30th. Yeah, the results and so forth would come out a lot differently. So what we've built is the option for you to go back now in time. So if I'm doing accounts for, say, 31st of May, I can pull up my age debtors from the 31st of May, generate report, and away I go. Okay, so I'll get that accurate data as of May 31, rather than having credits and so forth added from because May 31 has obviously passed already. So again, age debtors, the ability to go back in time to get a proper report or an accurate report as of that particular date. All right, so that came out a couple of weeks ago. The other thing that we've improved on is the export to Excel. The export to Excel now spits out the information rather than the actual figures itself. So these numbers here, they used to go out as text. And when services exported that Excel file, they wanted to run formulas or lookups or sum a certain field. They needed to convert that over to a number before you could actually do that. Going forward, all of our Excel export, hopefully all of them. If we missed any, let us know. But all our Excel exports should publish out or export out with anything with a numerical value, which should go out as a number type field. So you can you can run your sums, you can run formulas and whatnot over those output. Okay, so that's the age debtor side of things in Excel. We've also, I can't show this, but we've also implemented, especially for our enterprise customers. Again, when I speak about enterprise, obviously large organizations with multiple services and so forth, with their own own login system. A lot of businesses out there might use something like Microsoft Active Directory or Azure's Active Directory or some sort of a login system where staff members would log into the computer with a particular login method, and they could use that across multiple websites and so forth. We've introduced the same thing for OWNA as well. So if you're an enterprise customer and you're using SSO within your organization, we have that available across the app and the portal as well. So what that means is, when I can't demo this, but I'll try my best. So when I'm in my login screen right here, rather than having to say punch in my email password, I can simply use my computer login details and so forth, and in theory sign into the OWNA platform. Okay, and same with the app as well. I'll be able to do that inside the app again. And what that means is, if I change my password, I change it once. I change it once on the I guess the company login, and it will filter through to the owner side of things as well. Right. On top of that SSO for extra security, we also rolled out multi-factor authentication as well. Right. So what that means is when you log in, especially for the first time or something like that, it will prompt you to, it will send you an email, for example. It will prompt you to, it will give you a certain code that you need to obviously enter when you sign in. Okay, so an extra level of I just realized I've demoed something just now and on the wrong screen, so I do apologize. So with the multi-factor authentication, so you'll get a code, and from that particular code, you'll be able to punch that in, as well as your password, and obviously gain access to the owner platform as extra security on top of what you do right now. So that's what we're rolling out, or it's already available. So if you're a enterprise customer and you want SSO, you want multi-factor authentication, do let us know, and we can obviously take a look at that and see what we can do for your organization. All right. Jumping over to the next feature. Okay, so password strength indicator. Okay, so obviously we're beefing up the security side of things. We don't want you to obviously use simple passwords or passwords that are quite easily guessable, especially in this day and age with data security and hackers out there, trying to get access to data and that kind of stuff. We want to make sure that some of the passwords that you guys are using are strong. So what we've introduced is a password strength indicator. So for parents and staff. So if I go manage staff here, I select the staff member, edit that particular staff member. Down the bottom here, if I were to reset that password, you'll see it gives me an indicator in terms of how strong that password is. All right. Same with the parents as well. So if I were to go into here, go to families, and I'll go view or carers, and pick Frank, for example, in here. If I need to reset Frank's password, I can do that right now, and it gives me a bit of an indication in terms of how strong my password is. Okay. Do make sure your password's strong. The reason being is, again, don't use simple passwords or simple text, combination of letters and numbers and so forth, to make sure that the actual password's secure, and avoids, hopefully it mitigates some of the issues in terms of people guessing passwords and accessing the system when they shouldn't be. All right. Another feature that we rolled out, or we've always had this available, but we've made it available for services now, is the system audit log. So behind the scenes, we track a few major things that happen behind the scenes. So for example, what I'm saying is, if I go to say view all children here, and I selected a child, and let's argument's sake, I've selected a family account, I've deactivated this family account. We track certain features like that in terms of who done it, what time, and what has been changed as well. And the reason why we do that is we do get a lot of support calls or emails from services calling up, this family detail has disappeared, we didn't delete it. And generally when we pull up the logs, we know exactly who's done it, what time, and so forth as well. Okay, so we make that log available for services now. So under reports here, and you might have seen this already, under reports, you see a system audit log option right here. And if I click on the system audit log, by default, I can pick between 4 or 5 different categories here. So if I say accounts, get report, it will list out the audits that have happened. Okay, so invoice generated here for this period by Miss Jane. If I would, let's go to all, and we can have a look at some of the others. So event deleted, right? So Chris here deleted an event. That event there, that data is held here, and we can always restore that back for you as well. But that log helps us to identify, any malicious activity as well, because there are staff out there who delete things maliciously. We track that as well, so you know straight away who has done what day, what time. All right. Keep in mind, we don't track every single thing, but we do track some of the major things that have come through support. So again, it's children's attendances, invoice, payments, family accounts, and so forth. They're the main things that we track at this point in time. If someone goes in and, argument's sake, I don't know, runs the utilization report, we don't track that. Okay, so it's not, we don't deem that as a big risk, so we don't track that particular item. Or else our database will just grow massively big over time. So that's the system audit log there. The next feature that that we've also improved on is the room ratio target. So on the rostering front here, so let's have a look at rostering. On the rostering front, so as I build, I won't go through how to build my roster and so forth, but on the ratio interval side of things here, oops, my mistake. In here, on the room ratio target, generally it was across the servers. Okay, so what that meant was if I'm building out my roster, I never had this option here where I could pick the individual room. I could only build out my roster or get my hours per booking ratio across the whole service of every room. I have that option right now to say if I want to build a efficient roster for the toddlers room, I can get report and it'll list out just the toddlers room data, so to speak. Keep in mind, I've got a dummy platform here, so some of my data is not correct, but I'm able to run that across my rooms rather than across the whole the whole center, so to speak. So again, allows me to create my individual rosters for the room, but at the same time see how it marries up across the whole service as well. All right. You would have seen the roster limit here. So we've introduced an option here. So as you build out your roster, and this is for those who have admin rights, obviously, if you build a roster but you don't have rights to the financial side of things, you might not be able to see this. But I've got my weekly revenue, my revenue capacity, and lastly, generally it was just the actual percentage of my roster over the revenue. We now have an option here where if I go over the limit, it lights up red for me, tells me I'm over my limit. So how does it know I'm over my limit? If I go to center, under center info, I can set the rostering cost max, which is $7,000. Okay, so I've set it at $7,000, quite low. Obviously, your costing is going to be a lot higher than that, but I've made mine $7,000 so that when I build out my roster, so back to my roster here, it knows straight away. It doesn't tell me a figure here. The figure's over here, but that's 14% of that weekly revenue. Lets me know straight away that 8,000 is over 7,000, lights up red. If I'm building the roster now, I might want to start reducing my staff members, right? Because I'm over my limit, so to speak. And that's where I can also introduce have a look at the hours per booking ratio to make sure that I'm creating a efficient roster, well below my rostering cost, so to speak. So it's a win-win in terms of being compliant, but also at the same time being a financially great roster in terms of not going over my expense for that particular week. All right. We've also introduced regular debits for families as well. So if you're using CCS and you're billing with OWNA at the moment under families, if you're not, you should obviously set up a time to go through CCS with our CCS team. Because keep in mind, if you're on premium at the moment, you get CCS for free. Right, so it doesn't cost you any extra. If you're using a different platform now for CCS, you're paying for that particular CCS platform. If you move over to OWNA CCS, you don't have to worry about having to pay for that extra platform. So there's a cost saving right there as well. I'm sorry, Sec. I've got Phong talking to me. Go ahead, Phong.
Can you go to where we set rostering?
Where we set rostering?
Roster.
Oh, sorry. So someone's asked, can we set, go through where we set the roster limit. So again, under center info, down the bottom here, obviously you set up your shifts, your lunch, and in here, your rostering costs right there. Okay, so it requires a figure, a numerical figure. So put in that numerical figure here, update rostering costs. So going forward, if my roster is over $7,000, it will light up red for me, okay? If I whack this up to say $17,000 now, and I can update that, my roster is below that. So if I jump back into here, I go to rostering, lights up back orange for me. So I'm under that ratio or that figure at this point in time. And as I build out my roster, it gets larger and larger. That will light up red if it goes over $17,000. All right. Coming back to the regular debits for families. So again, if you're not using CCS, do have a look at our CCS. Keep in mind it is for free. It doesn't cost you any extra in terms of on top of your monthly subscription at the moment. under CCS. So sorry, under families. If you go to families here, I'll click on families. I'll click on admins, for example. Down the bottom here, there's an option. We do automatic invoicing and automatic debiting as well. But we've also introduced a new option here. A lot of services wanted this option. So what this meant was I can regularly debit a family a certain amount, whether it's every week, every second, third, fourth week, and so forth. So what that means is even if my bill is a certain amount, let's say $200 every week, I could pay extra, and that could be $300 here, for example. So I might say 300. The next debit date is going to be the 4th of July, and it's going to be every single week. So every single week on a Monday, so the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, the 25th, it will debit 300 out of this family account. So what that means, and again, if their bill was $200 every single week, there'll be $100 in credit every single week. And obviously from there on, they can obviously have credits on their account so that they're not being CCS rebalancing and so forth. They're ahead. They don't have to worry about having any money clawed back. And if they did, they're still being credit, so they wouldn't have to pay back a certain amount to the service. All right. So that's your regular debit for families. We're introducing a lot more reporting. So we can't obviously list out all our reports under here. And this list is going to be super long. So the first thing we've done was we've consolidated the daily stats. So this used to be obviously all shown here. That list got super long. So we've consolidated that. So anything under daily stats, your daily information, toileting, nappy changes, handover are now under daily stats. So if you can't see it anymore, have a look here under daily stats. You better pull up, say, daily information. You better see the daily information for that day. All right. That's the first thing we've done. The other thing we've done was we introduced a all reports feature down the bottom here. And if I click on this, this is where a lot of the reporting are going to live going forward. All right. The reason being is as we introduce more and more reports, we can't just fill in this particular list here. We have a all reports function here, and that will break it down in terms of attendances, children, compliance, and a lot more coming very soon as well. Okay. So keep an eye on that. If we do introduce some new reports, they'll be available inside here. And a good example is the absent attendances report. A service wanted this not long ago, where they could list out a bunch of absences over a certain period. Obviously, you don't see that anywhere here. If you wanted to pull up that report, you'll need to go to weekly, pull up the weekly, and then have a look at the attendance, the absent attendances from there. So now you can go into, say, absent attendances. By default, I think it's the last 2 months. It will list out the number of attendances and also the number of absences here as well. Okay, so it gives me a breakdown. From there on, I can click through and see those absences or those attendances. I can export these to Excel as well. All right. So that's the all reports screen. The other thing we've done is, we put on a lot of OSH services this year and recently as well. Keep in mind, OWNA did start as a center-based, long daycare type application, but obviously we've tailored it for the OSH market now. One thing that we hadn't done was had the ability to show and hide the daily information. So going forward, what you could do is under App Extras, App Configuration here, there's an option for me to under task screen over here, ability for me to hide the children's temperature as well as the daily information as well. So what that means is on the app itself, oops, let me click the wrong screen. On the app itself, daily information and children's temperature would disappear. Okay, so to do that, I'll click on these two here. I go update, and just to recap, under task screen, hide children's temperature, hide daily information. I can hide nappy changes and all that kind of stuff as well. If I were to just quickly close the app down, oops, and I launch that app again, and in here, you'll see the daily information and the children's temperature check has now disappeared. And I can do the same with sleep, bottles, toileting, and sunscreen as well, if I don't want to show that to parents and if I don't want staff members to fill it in. Okay, so that works for OSH-based services, so that again, only the relevant features are available for them. Doesn't clog up the screen, makes their jobs a lot easier there as well. All right, so they're the main new features that we rolled out recently There's a lot more little bits and bobs here and there. I can't go through every minute detail of them, but in terms of major features or features of note, they're the main ones that we've rolled out this past quarter or so. What I want to touch on now is some of the stuff that are coming soon. Okay, and we did promise a sneak peek at some of a great little feature as well that we're about to roll out, and that we're going to have a dedicated session towards as well. So the first one is the landscape mode. So we have landscape mode coming out very soon. So what that means is, at the moment, if I'm on the app here as an educator and I rotate my device, the landscape, as you can see, it doesn't look all that great. All right, so we have a lot of services who have keyboards attached to their iPads or their tablets, so to speak. They can't use it because that particular screen here, in this case here, the main task screen, or the main staff task screen, does not show nicely in the landscape side of things. We do show landscape on the create post, for example. So if we go to create post, let me just rotate that back out. So if I rotate this here, this does go into landscape mode. So there are a couple of screens, like the post screen, the public mode screen, and there's a couple of others as well that do rotate for landscape. But in terms of most of the app, we haven't made that available, but we are rolling that out very soon. We've done that for Android already. We are looking at the iOS side of things at the moment to have that available probably in the next release or so. If not the next release, the release following. Okay, so that's the landscape feature. The other big thing that we've been working on, especially myself, is what we've decided to do is, obviously you guys have heard of Worker. So we've rolled out Worker late last year. It's our workforce management platform. It does a lot of payroll. It does staff management. It's great for multi-center owners to be able to manage their service and be able to have staff members create their staff members at the top level, propagate down to the individual services, have all your documentation at the top level, propagate down to your individual service as well, so that you're not managing multiple locations. So that's something that's out already, that's available for any service. Obviously, the additional cost there. The one thing that we've decided to do with that early platform is roll out the accounting piece. Okay, so what we have, to quickly show you, which will come out very soon, is we have early accounting that we've bolted on, that we will bolt on to the our ecosystem, so to speak. Okay, so what that means is, in theory, we're taking on Xero, MyOb, QuickBooks, Reckon, or whatever accounting software is out there. But what we're going to do is we're going to make it really dedicated for the childcare industry. Okay, so all your CCS payments will sync through, that kind of stuff. Whatever we do now inside OWNA, we'll be able to sync through into the early accounting piece. The early accounting piece is pretty much a replacement for Xero, MyOb, and whatnot. It allows us to have that tighter integration. At the moment, we do struggle with like syncing over to Xero, for example. If something changes on their front, we need to cater for it. There are restrictions in terms of what we can send to, say, Xero and QuickBooks and MyOb. We decided we just do it ourselves. So we have a accounting piece that will roll out very soon. Again, there will be additional cost for this, but obviously it's minimal compared to what you're paying MyOb and QuickBooks and whatnot. So you'll be able to hit a button owner, sync over your financials straight to the accounting piece. Okay, so that's something that we're about to roll out in the very near future. But this is going to work nicely with OWNA. It's also going to work nicely with Worker as well. All right, so any of your payroll data and so forth will sync through to the early accounting piece. So that's something that we're really excited about, and this will probably be sometimes in the new financial year. So we'll have a dedicated session. We'll do a dedicated session on that in terms of how it all works and what you get access to. Keep in mind, we do have the accounting piece, and we've had a few inquiries about that as well. We do get a lot of, do we sync up with Xero? Do we link up with MyOb for the financial side of things? Obviously, we don't at this point in time, and probably we won't. But we will with the early accounting piece. Okay, we're going to really make it a dedicated platform, not just for any business, but really dedicated to the childcare space. The other thing that we promised to take a look at is, we didn't tell you what it is, but the programming piece. So programming is something that we've been working on this year. So one of our goals last year was to make the program more customizable. Right? So what that means is we have our standard set program. We have a standard set program that we have at the moment. So if I go to say add program here, we have our standard set program where I can go into here and select my program. And again, it's a fixed template. It's a fixed template. You will fill this in. It suited a lot of centers, but at the same time, it did not suit a lot of other centers as well. So every center, or most centers, program differently from another center. When we first started, we were able to customize a lot of programs for different centers, and especially for those who came on board earlier on, we were able to customize your program and make it suited to your service. As we grew, obviously it's not feasible. We can't be creating a custom program every single time for a service course. It does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of effort to build, and obviously the cost for us is going to be astronomical if we did it for everyone. So what we've done is we've made a platform, or our developers here have created a platform that allows us to, or allows you guys to build out your program to suit your service a lot more. I'm not going to promise it's gonna fix every issue that you might have with programming, but it's going to solve a lot of the issues that we currently have with our program in terms of what you can do. Right. So let's have a quick take a quick look at it. Keep in mind, we're going to have a dedicated session on this in the coming fortnight or so. Okay, so Jeremy, our development manager, will go through this with Jen, our in-house ECT. They'll go through this and cover this in a bit more detail, but I'll quickly touch on it so you guys can see a sneak peek what it looks like, and then again you can join that session in a fortnight or so time to go through in a bit more detail. So let's take a quick look. So this is the recap. So if I were to create my program, I'll go to standard, I'll go add program, and I'll pick a standard weekly template here. And from there on, I would choose the activities that I'm going to do Monday through to Friday, exactly what we're going to do, type out the activities here with the experience and go update, available for parents to see, and so forth. Going forward, we've made this about this is just like our learning docs, right? So our learning docs where you can build out your portfolio templates, same thing here as well. So with the curriculum program, I've got one here that's been created already. This is where I can go in here and I can build out my own program myself. All right, so title, week commencing, and so forth. The main thing here is the programming matrix. The program matrix is what you can really get into in terms of customization. So that programming matrix lives under the programming template, and this is what you can build out yourself as well. So in here, under learning experience, I can build out my learning experience that will go in to the matrix area. To quickly show you, I won't go through the whole process of building one here. So let's assume it's all built already. So what I can do is I go to view program. There's one here called demo with Kheang. If I edit this, you'll see obviously these blocks up here, these fields have been added or have been selected by the person that built this particular program here. The matrix here is where you can build out your program yourself. Okay, as you can see, I can add I've got experience. We're not limited to say Monday to Friday. You can have your own titles here. So I've got one here called experience, day 1, day 2. I don't know. Again, I'm not an educator, so I've seen some programs that have village voices at the top, for example. I can do something similar to this. All right, so add that in. I might say for village voices, we're going to have a demo experience, and these are the templates that you would build. All right, so if I chose demo experience, and I can apply this to the whole row, the whole column. I'm just going to do this to this particular cell. Pick demo experience here. If I click on that, this is what I can build inside my village voices experience. I might say, I don't know, learn to run. Obviously, this is for Charlie, and I can select multiple children. I can select the children's goals as well. I can link this to a previous post. My time, our place, Phoenix Cups, Fearless, Dev milestones. These are all built out by yourself. So you can have your own custom tags in here. You can select dev milestones. You can remove dev milestones. You can have EY left. Whatever suits your service, you'll be able to create as a template, and they'll be available for your educators to select inside the experience side of things here. All right, so I might say learning to run. And in here, I'll put in my evaluation, my upload any photos as well. I'll go save changes. When I save changes right there, did that save? Keep in mind, this is a I'm not sure what happened there. Keep in mind, this is under development at the moment. I was promised it was working, but I've just added that third item. It hasn't. I don't know. I didn't save it as a draft, so my mistake there. I did save it as a draft, and I refreshed the screen right there. So I do apologize about that. But let's have a look at something that's been created already. So someone's created this demo experience right there. If I were to view that particular demo experience consisted of all these items right here. All right. I can also view that. I can also view that in the summary mode here as well. As you can see, that's my particular program here. These are the 50% completed. These are the experience. This is day one, and these are the items that were listed inside that experience block. And these were the items that were listed inside that day one block that was created. All right. Going back to here, you'll be able to see there's a diary mode as well. So this is obviously a table mode, which is quite concise. You've got your diary mode, and this is where you can see exactly what you filled in. And you can make any modifications to that as well. So here, I haven't filled in my experience and the valuation. I can click on that, and I'll say experience goes here. Obviously, you're going to write something a bit more meaningful than I have. Evaluation goes here, and I can upload photos and whatnot. I'll do that quickly so you can see exactly what it looks like. All right, do I have any? I might not. I've got a certificate demo image here, so let's upload that. Save changes, and there you go. All right, so I've filled that in, so you can see straight away I've done that. Again, these are all customizable by yourself. So we've built or Jeremy's built a dummy one here where I've gone in and fill in this information. But in terms of what goes in these blocks, you can build those templates out yourself so that they're usable for your educators as they build out their program. And from here on, there's an option for me to say, create a post that links to an experience. So previously, when I created a post, I could only link it to the program as a whole. I couldn't link it to an experience. Going forward, you can do that straight here. All right, so there's a button here whereby if I hover over it, it says create post. If I were to create a post now, it lets me know program post, experience portfolio. I'm just going to create it as an experience post. And in here, when I create that particular post, it's going to link it back to that experience. All right, so to quickly show you, come back into here. If I go down to the, let me just save this quickly. If I go back into the summary mode in here, oops, you see down the bottom here, I have all my posts that have been linked up to this program. And at the same time, I can also view all my posts that are linked up to a experience. Okay, so this one here, child's goal, experience sample title, which is that particular one right here. And then obviously the second one is the day one. If I click on that there, you see straight away, it will filter just the posts that are linked back to that experience. So not just the program, but also at the experience level as well. Right. I've skimmed over that quite quickly and so forth. We do have a dedicated session in the next fortnight or so that goes through the program because we are still working on it. We have a few educators who are trialing it, testing it out, and making sure it's going to suit their needs as well. And we're going to hopefully roll that out in the next fortnight or so. But keep in mind, we'd want to roll it out. If you do have feedback, do let us know, and we're able to obviously have a look at that going forward as well. But from my point of view, I think I've covered most of the features that I wanted to go through today, and obviously I've talked about the three main exciting features that we're about to roll out in terms of landscape mode and early accounting, but also at the same time, for a lot of educators wanted to see was the custom program side of things. I'll leave the floor to you guys. Any questions? Feel free to shout it out. Feel free to type in the chat box. I think Fong's been answering most of it. Was there anything I've missed, Fong, that we needed to go through? Is the evaluation open to parents? At the moment, parents can give you feedback on your program. In terms of evaluation, I'm going to say no. I'll find out from Jeremy. But generally, previously on our program, any evaluation, any reflection was hidden from parents. I assume it's the same for the custom piece as well. Okay, but we'll find out and we'll mention it on the dedicated session. Any other questions?
So in relation to ongoing medication, for example, Benton or asthma management, what's the best way to enter these as they may not need it every day and through medication every day, but may.
Okay. So the question was ongoing medication. How do services manage that? So I wouldn't create that as a medication report or a medication that recurs and so forth. And the reason being is that medication might not be required every single day. A good example would say eczema cream, some sort of or moisturizer, for example. You know, as a parent, I can do this whereby I select my child. I go into here and I go on ongoing non-prescribed cream and form. And when I click that, it gives me the option here to fill in the non-prescribed cream and form. So I can mention what type of cream it is or what type of medication, ongoing medication. And I might say, you know, whatever that medication is, expiry date, the doctor's pharmacy name, the reason for the cream, should be the reason for the medication. When the dosage, when and dosage to be applied. I think that's a mistake there. Has this child, has this cream and medication has been applied to this child before? Next dosage date, and I can sign this on the app as a parent. When I sign this and when I submit this, this will live under the child's profile. Okay, so what I'm saying is when I sign that, it lives under that child's profile. So you have that copy that you require, that this particular child requires ongoing medication, and it might be it's not a fixed time. It's you know, it's not a set time and day every single time they're at the service. It might be ad hoc. So in here, where is OWNA? Let me just filter OWNA. So just quick filter here, OWNA. Click on manage child's documents. When I upload any documents about a child, they'll live under here. Okay, so there's a non-prescribed cream, ongoing medication for OWNA that has been, I guess, uploaded by his parents. Let's argument's sake, let's assume he requires that medication right now. Again, could be that cream and whatnot. This is where we have that copy of that medication, and I can go create a medication form for him right now as an educator. So whether I do it on the app or whether I do it on the portal, I go medication report here. And just quickly click on the plus icon here, and I would create a medication report right now for OWNA. Okay, I have a written consent because obviously I have the ongoing form filled in already. So I'll select to say OWNA. There he is there, OWNA. Name of parent and carer, obviously put in the name of the parent who filled out that form, date and time contacted, comment, name of medication. So I would obviously call OWNA's mum or dad. You know, I'm going to apply that particular cream on him right now. Put in that medication's name, medication reason, add medication to the app. My educators will go in there. Obviously, they'll apply that cream or medication to that child. Fill that in on the app, and then parents would sign for it on the app as well. Okay, so that's how I would do the ongoing medication side of things, rather than getting parents to fill in a recurring medication that pops up on the app every single day, and you'll need to go and delete it. So hopefully that answers your question there, Jess. Okay, he goes, level of the new features. It is clear you listen to your clients and work hard to improve the platform. And that's what we do, Kay. I think we say this all the time. You know, the platform only gets better because of you guys. You know, we're not on the floor looking after children or running a service every single day. We do have an idea of how it works, but we're not there doing it every single day. You guys are, and based on your feedback, that's what we do. We build software for early education that pretty much does everything for you guys, but at the same time, you know, make your lives a lot easier, and hopefully for parents, make their lives a lot easier as well in terms of you know, being kept up to date with what their children are doing on a day-to-day basis. We're 1 hour into it now. I'm happy to stick around if there's any other questions.
Guys, if there's no questions, we just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for this afternoon. Kheang and I will try to do these at least either monthly or at least quarterly, because we do release quite a bit and some of it can get lost in social media and things like that. So again, thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and we can't wait to speak to you next.
Thanks, guys.